Hello. Good morning, everybody. Myself, Ashok Bangi. I'm the Vice President Financial Reporting with GEMS Education. And today I'm blessed with the industry experts in this panel. We have Adnan Khan, CFO of Gulf International Chemical, Zeeshan Khurram, who is the Deputy CFO of Al Qatani Pipe Coating Industries, and Shirin Sadi, who is Director ICT Shared Services too. So before we start this, let's ask them how blockchain is affecting their life, in their day-to-day life, how much blockchain they are using, and why they are here related to blockchain. You know, start with Shirin.
Hi, my name is Shiran. I'm the director.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Shiran. I'm the director for ICT Shared Services. In my team, we sell IoT, blockchain, smart district, machine-to-machine, artificial intelligence services, mainly to the government entities. So we get a lot of exposure, meeting prospective customers, talking about the solutions, and we get the pulse of the market. Hear from the customers what they like about the solution or what they really expect to have from implementing blockchain solutions. So my role specifically, I look after the pricing of those solutions, the customer contracts, the vendor contracts, the bid management, and also performance development of the team. What I'm really excited about is to share the feedback I get from the customers, and also how this solution can help your business when you go back. So yeah, thanks.
Yes, Zeeshan.
I'm Zeeshan. I'm Deputy CFO in Al Qatani Pipe Coating Industries. I lead finance team. By profession, I'm a chartered accountant and a chartered financial analyst. 10 years ago, when I joined Al Qatani Pipe Coating Industries, I was appointed as a champion for implementation of an ERP. Today, a few months ago, I've been appointed as a champion for exploring the opportunities and threats posed by blockchain to our industry. And we are exploring those opportunities. We have done some research, and I've done certification in blockchain for business as well. And we are in an early stages as far as the implementation or adoption of blockchain is concerned. We are a little behind from where Shiran is, but I think it's going to be a very interesting and fruitful journey. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. I'm Adnan Khan. I work for a listed company in Oman, and nothing of blockchain in our company, but I'm part of a committee of CMA in Oman, which regulates the listed companies. And in this committee, we oversee how blockchain can be implemented in these listed companies in Oman. So still, the work is mostly theoretical. Only some of the very large companies are taking practical steps to implement blockchain. But CMA is really focused, and they also hold some meetings to encourage these large companies to adopt and move ahead with blockchain.
So just to give you the importance of blockchain in this market, UAE government in April 2018, they launched the Emirates blockchain strategy, and as per that strategy, they want to put 50% of the government transactions into the blockchain by 2021, which is really an aspiring target, and they are on the target. And few days back, let's just say 2-3 days back, Dubai Future Council of the Blockchain also launched Dubai Blockchain Policy, which is really something new in Barcelona. They started that. So just to continuing the discussion on it, if let's say there are people, the audience sitting here, and they are going and making a representation to the board of directors, and they don't know where to start, okay? Because yes, everybody wants to make an investment in blockchain, but it's such a huge topic, it's such a complex thing, and you are dependent on various other parties. So if you have to, it's a common question to all of you, if you have to make an advice to those board of directors, from where to start on that blockchain strategy, how to do that?
Yeah, sure. It's an interesting question. I mean, it's interesting that you mentioned the government, the the country leadership level. We made a statement saying by 2021 we want to go complete paperless and we want to embrace the technology. We want to go digitalization path. We want to adopt blockchain. We being we have a blockchain platform, our own platform, which is hosted in Dubai, in the UAE. So we are the first blockchain platform to be introduced in the UAE. That data is hosted in UAE. Government entities, what they want to do, they prefer to keep their data in country for security reasons. They more than the cloud, they prefer in country. So when we go and speak to the government entities, you say that look, the government really wants to go on the blockchain journey, you want to go on the digitalization journey, and then we go and say we are a semi-government company and we have a platform that serves your purpose and keeps the data in country. You would think it's a perfect match, but you'd be very surprised the amount of pushback we get. Many reasons. One of the thing is the understanding people have. People still think, blockchain, it's the cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. I mean, that's the first impression that comes up. A lot of misconceptions.
That's the first impression. The moment you talk about blockchain, oh no, it's a cryptocurrency thing.
It's another name for cryptocurrency. That's what people think. And it's very surprising, even at the very senior level, even at the board director levels, they still have this misconception. And also there have been a lot of frauds about cryptocurrency related fraud. So people are a bit hesitant about sort of jumping on the bandwagon and investing in this stuff. So it takes long. It takes long to close a sales cycle. We have people who are in telecoms who and close sales deals in about 6 days, and we have people who are selling blockchain solutions. It takes about 6 months or a year. Sometimes even up to a couple of years. So it takes time. So what we tell our sales people or sort of internally is to manage expectations. We understand the challenges that the prospective sort of customers have. We spend so much time with them, explaining the concept, sort of getting alignment, and sort of educating them one-to-one workshops at different levels. We have a pre-sales team who dedicatedly spend time with the IT guys explaining the solution. So it's an education process. It's just like anything else. If you go back to the internet days, should we jump on the digitalization bandwagon or should we sort of stay where we are? So it takes a lot of time to sort of explain, keep explaining the use cases, and once you get down to that real use case, as a Dubai Future Foundation or Dubai economy, what they can achieve as an entity from this specific use case, then the conversations start moving faster, and sort of people come on board much faster than you expect.
Yes. Regarding advice to the board, as I said, our board has been concerned with the impact of blockchain and other similar technologies can have on enterprise level risk. In fact, blockchain and digital transformation in general has been the stickiest point on board's agenda for a very long time now. As I said, we have done our evaluation, and in our assessment, while blockchain can operate on a standalone basis, but it works best when it's combined with other technologies, for example, ERP, in our case, automation in general. When it's combined with other technologies like ERP and automation in general. So we have advised our board when it comes to investment in blockchain, think big, but start with a small pilot project. In our case, we have identified intercompany transaction as one, and after building the proof of concept, as somebody said that blockchain has the benefit of scalability. So in medium to long term, we have identified order to cash cycle as a use case where blockchain can really bring efficiencies and remove the inherent inefficiencies in this process, especially in our industry, which is oil and gas.
Adnan, what's your view?
Yeah, obviously this is one of the hot topics in most board meetings. Obviously blockchain is really great, but at the end of the day, the board needs to make sure that it's used to generate revenues and cut costs. So I would always say, like for any large capital investment, a detailed, in-depth feasibility study needs to be done, because you really need to make sure the type of blockchain you want. There's no single blockchain. A range of multiple solutions exist. They can be centralized, decentralized, private, public, permissionless. So a company really needs to make sure the type of blockchain that suits their purposes. And also, obviously, they need to consider the transition because there will be operational risks which can make a business discontinuity, and then there are like issues of IT itself, the IT infrastructure. You already have a IT infrastructure in place. Bringing in blockchain, you need to make sure that it can synchronize with your existing IT. Otherwise, you will end up replacing all of the IT infrastructure. So I think these are the merits that the board really need to consider before they choose or decide to go ahead with blockchain.
So I'll continue with you only. Do you think the blockchain can help in streamlining the external reporting as well? Like we discussed about how you sell this to the board, but now let's move a step further now on this.
Yeah.
Will it help?
I personally believe that one of the areas that are really going to benefit from blockchain is external reporting. I mean, what's external reporting all about? Accuracy, timeliness, relevance, and reliability. Well, these are the core of blockchain. So definitely this will really benefit external reporting. Talk about public companies. They are always eager to give more and more assurance that their financial statements or financial reports are free from material misstatements. Well, by bringing in blockchain, this is what they will exactly get. There's so much verification process in blockchain which automatically gives a lot of confidence in the data being presented to the stakeholders. Even talk about capital markets who are always eager to do more and more monitoring and more transparency in the data for their stakeholders. Obviously, this is what investors want, but with the blockchain, this will really be enhanced. Everyone will have so much confidence in the data for the financial sector. And also you can consider the costs as well. Currently, accounting, auditing, and compliance costs are like really massive all around the world. So the blockchain is really gonna cut that down as well.
So what I'm hearing is that yes, it will bring and streamline the financial reporting. But Zeeshan, do you think that it is going to reduce down the inefficiencies in the business? And instead of just explaining us, can you give us an example as well?
Yeah,
It
sure.
will be useful for all the audience.
Sure. Efficiency is not the first term that comes to mind when we talk about blockchain.
That's the ultimate purpose of us here.
Especially particularly public blockchains because of their inherent inefficiencies in their consensus mechanism, like Bitcoin. But here we are talking about blockchain for business, right? So yes, I believe that there are areas where we can use blockchain to bring efficiencies. I'll give you an example from our business, but I'm sure you all can relate in some way or the other in your businesses as well. We are in a pipe coating manufacturing business, which is part of a very complex ecosystem in oil and gas sector. So when a pipe moves through a production process in our plant facilities, there are at least 4 sets of eyes looking at it at the same time. They being the end users, the project owner, the contractors and the subcontractors and the third-party inspectors. They're all interested in the same set of data, which is usually quality and traceability information. They all have to agree on the facts before these pipes can be used in the oil fields, and more importantly, we can get paid for them, for our services. But because the 4 parties, 4 ERPs, same data, but they somehow don't seem to agree on the facts at the end. So what happens is that we need to have reconciliations and validations downstream, which is a very intricate process. Mostly it's manual, paper intensive. The whole process is paper clogged, and it's very time consuming. Countless man hours goes into this, into verifying the same information again and again. Sometimes even when this process is not manual, it's digital. It's on the digital platform owned and operated by one of the parties, right? When that happens, this party becomes the central authority, and that controls the system. So we not only have to trust this party on the facts, we become totally dependent on them on every step of the way. So as a result, what happens is that our cash cycle in our business stretches out to a point where it starts really hurting. So here I think the blockchain can come in and cut through these layers of inefficiency. You know how? If we have a blockchain solution which is connected, to which all these 4-5 ERPs, all the parties are connected. Yeah, the blockchain gets data directly from the machines, smart machines, which and feeds in this data into 4 different ERPs at the same time. So you see what's happening here is that same data goes in at same time to 4 different ERPs and 4 different owners. This is being validated in real time, instantaneously. So there is no, it eliminates the needs for downstream reconciliation and validation that take up so much time. This is in a distributed ledger, so which is immutable, and it's a trustless system. So there is no centralized authority; it's decentralized. Everybody has partial control. So there is no single point of failure like we have now. Rather, it becomes a single source of truth for everybody concerned, and by and large, it's paperless. So just imagine how much effort it frees up that can be used somewhere else. And you're being a little more imaginative. If you top it up with a smart contract that triggers an automatic payment after the deliverables are met, we estimate that our cash cycle will reduce to half. This is something that every finance leader in this room will, it's a dream come true for everybody.
You're trying to mix the artificial intelligence and Internet of Things also into it.
Absolutely. As I said in the beginning, that's where the real value is created through blockchain. There are use cases where blockchain works like independently standalone basis, but when it comes to business, we have to mix it up, and that's where the real value is. Yes, there is a real value.
Zeeshan, you want to add something?
Yeah, just to add on the efficiency part. If I give a real life example that we have in Dubai, I'm sure all of us have gone through the Ijari process, which is a painful process where you go to a government entity to validate your Ijari. And then we all have gone through at some point in life getting a Do or a Etisalat connection at home.
That's the only choice we have.
I'm sure Do is much simpler than my cousin brother in Abu Dhabi. But anyways, so a real life example is the Ijari documents are now saved in Dubai Land Department blockchain nodes. And Etisalat, they have access into that node, so they have subscribed into that. So any customer who has registered their Ijari with Dubai Land Department, when they want to apply for an Etisalat TV or home service connection, they don't have to submit their Ijari certificate again, because it's already submitted, it's already verified, and it's one single source of truth, like what Zeeshan was saying. So that's a real life example that we have in Dubai. I'm sure the next step will be to introduce a smart contract. So as a customer goes in, pays the money, and they get the connection immediately. So I think in that sense, it's a real example that we can quote from Dubai on the efficiency of blockchain.
But Shirin, what I'm hearing from these two experts and you as well, that the blockchain is mostly, there's so many stakeholders, so many parties are involved, and buying in and convincing everybody to come on that platform and agree on things, it's not an easy task. It will bring the transparency, but everybody will go for it and everybody will buy for it. It's not an easy task. How you see that? Is it a difficulty in blockchain application?
I would say blockchain makes it easier. Getting through transactions easier. If I take an example of acquisition of a company, or just say acquisition in a simple in human life, buying a house, let's say. So you want to buy a house, you have a broker, you have a bank, you have the land department involved, and then from the prospective seller or buyer side, then again you have the same sort of chain of people. So and why do we have so many people exist, so many stakeholders, so many links existing in that transaction? It's because you don't trust. You don't trust the end seller. So I trust my agent, and my agent in turn trusts the bank, and the bank in turn trusts the solicitor. So there are few people involved in this one. So what are we trying to eventually achieve with blockchain? Imagine if you have your deeds all validated by the authorities and saved once and for all in blockchain. There's no need for, or you go into the transaction with so much trust. So you can get away from that middle layers. In offline discussion, we were saying, blockchain brings takes the Uber out of the business, but not the taxi driver. I really like that example.
Yeah.
So I mean that's where blockchain comes into play. We're taking off the middle management, and making transaction much faster.
Yeah. Instead of putting the taxi drivers out of the job, they will put Uber out of the job. That's what the blockchain is.
Exactly. Yes. I steal that line from you. Thank you.
It's okay. as I can see the time, I'll ask a concluding question and then I want to open the floor for everybody. So as we see, yes, blockchain is going to bring a revolution in not only the finance but other sectors as well. So what will happen to those who will not buy in or who will not go for the blockchain? There'll be so many people still very conservative and say, no, I don't trust and I'll not share my data. I will not go for blockchain. What will happen to them? Adnan.
Obviously blockchain is being considered to be something just like the internet. And if it is the case that I don't think so, anyone will be left out and perhaps everyone will be using blockchain at some point of time. The question only remains, and perhaps they will miss on the early advantage that there is for blockchain.
Excuse me. Can you give your mic? Can you repeat please? I'm really sorry.
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously blockchain is being considered to be as the internet. And if this is the case, then perhaps I don't think so any company, let alone the company, I don't think so any individual will be left out of use of blockchain. Same like internet. But yes, there will be some advantage that will go to the early users. But then again, they are also exposed to the risk of any new technology that there is. So in the start, perhaps some of the companies or industries will miss out the early advantage, but with time, everyone will get and reap the benefits of blockchain.
Well, in my opinion, blockchain has matured to a degree where it would be really unwise for
Anyone to ignore it.
keep ignoring it, right?
Yeah.
So the challenge with blockchain right now is that for blockchain, the network effect has not started yet. That happened for internet and telephone when on their own onset. Once that happens, when more and more people start using blockchain, and when it moves from the early adopters, as Adnan said, to the majority, it will trigger the inflection point where its penetration into everything will happen at such an accelerated rate that, in my opinion, blockchain has a big foot. It's coming with a big foot, and if you are not prepared for it, when it comes, you'll be crushed under it, like a cockroach.
Wow, that's a big statement, to be honest. What do you think, Shirin?
Yeah,
I'm not in agreement with you on that one. There will not be cockroach for sure.
I mean, I like Adnan's example where we go back to the internet age. I mean, how did companies behave with the internet? I've been in telecoms for nearly 15 years now, so I've seen the evolution of smartphones. You know what smartphones have done to the businesses, and the applications, the mobile apps, and how it has transformed the businesses. People don't buy. People do most of their shopping on the mobile phones. People do the digital transfers a lot more than what it used to be. And we are with blockchain. We are in that exact same juncture, if you ask me. So given a few years, the evolution of the smart contracts and evolution of the adaptation that's happening across the globe, blockchain will be the future. So I mean, a request from my end to all the accountants or the finance leadership that's sitting here. I would question your IT budgets and have they allocated enough investment into the blockchain. I mean, that's something we internally we look at, and I think Zeeshan and Adnan, you guys as CFOs should have a look at that as well. So yeah, that's
Thank you very much. Thanks for the panelists. I want to open the floor for everybody. If you have any questions, you can just raise your hands. And can I use one of yours, mic?
working.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Sandeep. I would like to know what
Are
kind
you,
of...
are you asking this question to everybody or any specific? Anyone can.
Yeah, my question is, what are the general apprehensions people have before or thinking about blockchain? What are the risks that someone would think about, and how does he counter the risk? Because unless he's a little bit clear about the risks attached, he wouldn't want to get into something. I mean, I'm talking of people who are like more laymen, who are not yet used to the technology, but they always know what are the risks attached with using one of those.
I mean, any one of you can answer. Sure,
Yeah, sure. So risk perspective, when you're embracing a new technology, obviously there people are hesitant about is that the right thing for me? I mean that's the first thing they look at. And if you're a small entity who are only sort of targeting a small geographical area, then you are more hesitant about coming on board. Then there's always the risk of let's say the systems failure, the system integration migration part of things, and also the cost.
Confidentiality also. Confidentiality.
Yes. I mean, we have. If you ask me, blockchain is more secure than any other platform. But convincing that part into the customer, that's the time consuming element. But the risk wise, there's a cost element. Upfront investment can be a little bit high. So people look at the cost, and they probably tend to take a little bit more time. They wanna give it another year. Let's see what the competition is doing. So these are the risks that we see.
I would just like to add one thing here as well. Like I said, in my current role, we have a committee who likes to speak to the companies and ask them to force them or push them to adopt blockchain. Their one major query is that the legal issues. CMA, which regulates the listed companies, so obviously they ask them to first you give us the legal background for adopting the blockchain. And the CMA actually pushes them, first you implement, let's see how it goes, then we'll bring out the legal thing. So this is one risk or thing according to your question.
Thank you.
Hello, gentlemen. Hello. Thank you for this very informative discussion. It's really insightful, honestly. And you touched bases on the cost. And this was the question that I wanted to ask about how big is the investment that we're talking about, and what is the expected ROI for medium or even large companies? It's a bit vague, I think, in the discussion. How much is upfront payment and how much investment? Whether it is consultancy, hardware, software, system. So, what are we talking about? Ballpark figure, if possible. Thank you.
Good question. I mean, the cost can vary depending on the use case and depending on
the size of the organization.
Obviously, depends on how big you want to go. But in general, there's a bit of software, hardware cost. There's professional services involved in setting up the use case. And what you should be looking at from an ROI perspective is to see what that use case, what's the headache or what's the solution that is bringing in. And it's if you speak to any of the blockchain solution providers, they will explain you. Let's say if you ask for a 5-year business case, they will explain you the upfront cost and sort of the operations and maintenance cost. Then you can take that into your business and see what exactly am I solving here. So if you're talking about, let's say, Dubai Land Department example that I just gave, then you don't need to. There's a custom experience perspective that you cannot put a monetary value on that. But there's operational costs where you need to have X number of people on the desk doing this job anymore, or can you just upload everything into blockchain and that's a one-time investment? After that, you don't need to have the operational headcount on the ground. So it depends on the use case, but yeah, it's
I would like to add something to what Sheeran said. Well, as far as the cost and return on investment is concerned, the biggest two challenges with adopting blockchain as an early adopter is, number one, to get buy-in from the all parties concerned, and the second thing is ROI. Estimating the cost of implementation at this stage of blockchain is a very big challenge. For businesses in particular, there is a software and hardware cost, but the biggest cost for businesses is the consultancy for the solution design. It depends on what use case you have and how big your organization, or how many parties are involved, and how complicated the system is. But estimating the cost at this point in time, because we don't have any enterprise-ready solutions for the problems that we have. So the consultancy design cost is the biggest element in your cost structure.
That can be captured to the in-house as well, like hiring an in-house expert.
Well, getting a blockchain expert and hiring you at this stage for a small business, if you are not a blockchain implementation company, I have a business, I need a blockchain solution, let's hire a blockchain expert. This is not going to happen now at the moment. I think we'll have to look for the third-party solutions at the moment.
Sorry, one straight answer to your question is that we in our company 100 employee manufacturing company took some quotes from blockchain providers. The best quote we got for our company, 60,000 Omani Riyals for everything. In-house private blockchain solution. Obviously, it can vary with all the things they have said. Just to give one straight minimum cost, we got 100 employee manufacturing company, 60,000 Omani Riyals.
But that's the capex or opex, I think just the consultancy part.
Consultancy and software.
Thank you so much for your useful information so far. I just want to ask how this is going to affect bookkeeping. Like I have heard there is something like there will be triple entry. Before it was double entry. Bookkeeping and then the reporting. How it is going to affect that one?
Yes, people say that it's a new triple entry system. I believe that blockchain is not going to replace your bookkeeping software. It is going to work as an additional layer on top of it to enable things that can't be done with your ERP. It's called triple entry system because the same set of information is recorded and is saved in the blockchain, in the distributed ledger where everybody can access it. But basic fundamentals of your bookkeeping and accounting are going to stay the same.
This will be the like share ledgers, so there will be confidentiality. Like our suppliers have different, they don't want to show us at what price they have bought it and why they will share us these kind of ledger and prices. How it's going to work?
Well, blockchain can be public and private. If you are talking about a private blockchain, you have a permissioned blockchain where everybody access is monitored through identity management. So only a limited number of people who you want to share your information are on this blockchain. And public blockchain like cryptocurrencies, there is a private public key cryptography. That's how you maintain your confidentiality. In some applications, some people use blockchain application to maintain confidentiality because it's anonymous. You don't know who the users are. So depending on your use case, it depends how much of the confidentiality or the privacy you're going to have at the end of the day.
One last question.
I think blockchain is one of the digital transformation trends, right? So, do you think there is a prerequisite for a blockchain? So, talking about blockchain, are you guys, for example, cloud ready now to go for? Is it mandatory to start with the cloud, the mobility, then to go for the blockchain, or we can go blockchain directly?
Or can go blockchain and cloud.
Well, these are two different things. Cloud is about how you manage your data centers, whether you want to keep them on-prem or whether you want to keep them on cloud. With a prerequisite from blockchain perspective, I would look at the company size and I would look at the stakeholders that you work with. If you're a small entity that you are dealing in a local geographical area, then probably blockchain is not for you. But if you are a business that are working with let's say different government stakeholders beyond geographical areas, then there's room for you to investigate into blockchain.
Yeah. Just to continue with the same question, actually, most of the audience, they are thinking, because we are talking about blockchain, I would like Shiran to share with me any of the client which you would think that is an SME or is not that big organization, or you would say that they were initiators in getting the blockchain technology for them, and what competitive advantage they got, because what we are right now talking about after your answer is that obviously if you are not having more than one geographical location, or maybe your business model is not that complex that you need the large volume of transactions, so how blockchain I'm gonna do, or is it very necessary, like just mentioned by one of the panel members, that the people who will not follow will be cockroaches. So those cockroaches are only the large organizations or SMEs or mid-sized organizations. So just share with us one organization which you believe were the initiators, okay, and then they got some ROI or some sort of benefit out of it. Thank you.
I mean, we are still at the early stage. Great question to begin with. I mean, we are still at the early adaptation level. So the interest that you get are mostly from the companies that have big budgets. So let's say I'm referring to the government entities. And those are the guys who serve hundreds of people and work with hundreds of stakeholders. So they are the guys who are, let's say, benefiting off the cuff. It'll be a matter of time before the let's say the small and medium companies will be pushed to jump on the blockchain wagon. One entity, as an example, KHDA is looking at a solution where the document attest. Anyone who has applied for a job will know that I have to come with my university degree from 1990s. I have to be attested, and the attested is a physical paper. The stamp can with wear and tear, it can disappear. So and then the whole certificate can disappear itself, you know. So those are the advantages that we are seeing in the market. But for SMEs, unless you are in a digital business like digital advertising, Amazon, these are like they're small businesses, but in terms of number of employees, but their reach is beyond geographical boundaries. So those are the companies who are benefiting in my view. Thank you.
I would just like to add one thing. Size of the company matters when it comes to adopting blockchain, but it's also important to note that what sort of ecosystem they are part of. If that ecosystem, this environment is very complex and there are benefits to be had for all parties concerned, anybody could be an initiator. For example, in our case, we are not the biggest player in that ecosystem, but the most benefit that we look forward. So we are trying to initiate, be that initiator where all parties in the industry will ultimately have to adopt it. So size of the company matters. You can be small, medium or large, but your environment matters as well. What environment you are part of.
Thank you everybody. Thanks a lot. Thanks to all the panelists.
Thank you very much, Ashok. Thank you very much, the panel members. It was very interesting discussion talking about blockchain. I would request Shiran to stay here, and because the next session which we are having is actually about implementation. I just discussed in the last question.